Hello everyone and welcome to WGBS TV Live, brought to you by SupermanHomepage.com, the #1 Superman fan site in the world. My name is Steve Eunice. In this, our April 23rd, 2019 show, we're going to be covering a range of topics, including the latest episode of Supergirl. We're going to be talking about rumours about Tom Welling appearing on Arrow. We're going to be discussing the Krypton Season 2 trailer and so much more. We'll also be turning to you to take your questions and comments on any particular Superman topic you would like to discuss. And to let you know how all that works and how you can get involved in tonight's show, let me introduce you to the gentleman sitting right next to me, but across the other side of the world, Mr. Michael Bailey. Hey, Mike.
Hey, Steve. How's it going? Now, since WGBS Live is all about Superman, we want to hear from Superman fans that are watching us live on YouTube. So around the halfway mark, and if technology comes through and we don't have too much on the docket, we're going to start taking your calls. To do this, you'll need Skype. Get on Skype, find the Superman homepage, and message us that you'd like to join us. Wait for us to reply, and we'll try to get you on the show. And as always, wait for us to respond to your message. Don't just call us. And if you do get on, please turn down the volume.
Yes, exactly. So that's how you get involved in tonight's show. And for those watching live, doing it via our YouTube channel or directly on our website. Those who are watching via YouTube, we invite you to join in and post your comments and ask questions via the YouTube comments. And Michael and I will keep an eye on those and react to them as per appropriate. Now, a huge thank you to our sponsor and patron, Douglas Meacham. Appreciate your support, Doug. Now, Michael, it's been a relatively quiet week in the world of Superman, but we always have things to talk about. What's been happening in the Bailey neck of the woods?
Oh, just getting over some busy stuff at work and getting back into the swing of things of Supergirl. It was Sunday. I happen to have the day off, and about 2 hours before Supergirl comes on, I'm like, hey, Supergirl's on tonight. We'll get to watch it. So we're sitting there, and I am a Law and Order junkie. I will watch Law and Order if it's on television. And there's a channel that shows a marathon of it every Sunday. Uh-huh. So I'm sitting there, and we're eating dinner and having kind of a late dinner. And suddenly it's 8:09, and I'm like, wait a second, Supergirl's on. So we DVR it, so I was able to start watching it from the beginning. But it was just I got so out of the habit of watching it, I just completely forgot that it was there for some reason. But it happens.
Yeah, well, I literally just finished watching Supergirl before coming to air. Again, recording it, DVR it, whatever you want to call it, and just literally finished watching it before coming on air tonight. So it's fresh in the memory, and we'll get to discussing that episode. But yeah, after a 2-week break of no Supergirl episodes, it kind of felt like, oh yeah, Supergirl's back on kind of thing. And now hopefully we'll get a string of episodes to the rest of the season.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to be that way. There's one episode that doesn't have a title yet, according to IMDb, because I use that to kind of get all my ducks in a row for the reviews. But it looks like, it's going to be kind of a straight shot right into May.
Cool.
To get the season wrapped up.
Well, as you can see, I'm here in Kansas, in front of the Smallville sign. We will be talking about Tom Welling a little bit later on, so I thought it would be appropriate just to kind of head out here for tonight's episode.
If only we could somehow get meteors falling behind you as you're talking. That would be kind of amusing.
Ducking and weaving. But we'll start with movie news, as we like to do, and we've got some good news where the Death of Superman animated movie has won the Best Superhero Disc in the Home Media Awards for 2019. It was up against some stiff opposition in the form of the 4K Ultra HD release of Superman the movie, Avengers Infinity War, Batman the Animated Series Limited Edition Blu-ray, and Incredibles 2, all nominated for the same category, but the Death of Superman animated movie won the award, and that's how did they win it? Well, it was part of fan voting, which was April 5th was the deadline for fans to get involved, and then there was the combination of the judges' scores as well to come up with the ultimate winner. and I was impressed considering that there were two Superman movies in this, that the Superman fandom could have literally been split down the middle with their votes, but nevertheless, Death of Superman was the winner.
Well, it's nothing against, like the 4K release of Superman the movie, but let's face it, Superman the movie, this is this is like the seventh or eighth time it's been released on some kind of home entertainment format. So, no matter how impressive it is, it's not new.
Yeah.
So, and I was surprised that it beat Infinity War, in all honesty, because Infinity War was a good movie,
Massive.
and right now, I mean, we're headed here in the States. I don't know if it's coming out in Australia this weekend. Yeah. So it's really, Avengers are incredibly popular. But I think it speaks to not only the fact that the fans were able to rally around the death of Superman, but that it was a really good animated film too. I hesitate to say it was better than Superman Doomsday because I kind of consider them two different things. This was more of a straight adaptation, whereas Doomsday was playing on a theme. But no, the voice acting was great. The animation was incredible. The action was, his death was moving at the end of that movie.
Very
so I'm glad that it won because it really deserved it.
And if you're interested in seeing what other categories there were, what other films and discs and things won awards, mediaplaynews.com is the place to go. So that's really the only movie news we had this week, and it's nice to get some good news in the form of Superman movie news. But we do head to the TV side of things, where the latest episode of Supergirl Season 4, Episode 18, was titled Crime and Punishment. You handed in your review for this episode, giving it a 4 out of 5 rating. As I said, I just finished watching it. I enjoyed this episode. It was a step away from kind of some of the things we've been seeing this season from Supergirl, yet still along the same track of the storylines and things. It's kind of like a nice progression. I agreed with you in your review where you said some of the leaner Supergirl stuff was a little bit repetitive, but all in all, got to be impressed with Lex Luthor's ability to manipulate his cell the way he did. Having a secret laboratory behind the wall. I mean, come on.
Yeah, it's one of those things where you accept it because it is Lex Luthor.
Yeah, right.
That it's the only way that's going to make any sense. I also like the fact that the warden got called out.
Yeah.
For his involvement in all of this. And I do like the fact that the warden mentioned, he threatened to kill me. So, excuse me. It's not that the warden is evil. It's just he's probably caught in circumstances that are, would you want to be the warden of the prison Lex Luthor is staying in? I mean, seriously. The social commentary was a little more subtle in ways this time out. I mean, we still had the, people overreacting, the guy shooting at the car and at Supergirl at the beginning of the episode. But one of the things I touched on in my review that I was actually kind of impressed with is they managed to bring in some very real-world things involving the guy in the cell next to Lex, being kind of a fictional representation of Chelsea Manning. In the 2-week period that Julian Assange is arrested and taken into custody. It was just like, wow, they couldn't have planned that at all, but it just kind of all percolated nicely. But I think the reason why I gave it a 4 out of 5 instead of a 5 out of 5 is that the entire point of this episode was Kara's important too. And I'm like, yes, why are you making this a plot point when it should be self-evident? And I think it just highlights the fact that they really do a poor job, or have done a poor job over the last couple of seasons of balancing her life on the show. So it was nice that Kara got to be the hero, so to speak, but I wish they would do more of that.
Yeah, I agree. That's part of what I like about the whole Clark Kent Superman storylines, is how much Clark Kent is part of the story and how much his involvement in his investigative work is part of solving the problem in many of the stories, especially like going back to the George Reeves 1950s TV show or the radio series. It's what I like best about them is Clark Kent's involvement. So having Kara finally actually do something constructive here, and being forced to, it highlights the writing and the inability to make Kara important in many of the episodes to date. So yeah, it's a nice change of pace there, and like the ending there where the pen is mightier than the sword, and she said maybe even mightier than the cape. So that was just a nice bit of wordplay there. And the character of Steve was, other than his name, I thought he was a great character, and kind of was well played. I liked the way his reaction. He was really had a lot of animosity towards Supergirl when he first met her, but when he first met Kara, he was like a fanboy, and it was just like a real interesting turn of personality.
Yeah, I like that actor. He was I didn't watch Sex and the City, but I know he was on there. But he was a main part on the show White Collar with Matt Bomer, and I forget the guy that played the FBI agent. He's really good at that. Mm-hmm. It's kind of funny that I was literally, this is something I should have seen coming, but again, it highlights how kind of short shrift Kara gets. The fact that she was able to get out of the prison by using her secret identity was just like, oh yeah, she has a secret identity and she can do that. And I was just, the writing can be so clever sometimes and so effective with using the tools at hand. And I do like the fact that Steve was just like, I'm the editor or the journalist for whatever newsletter goes through the prison. But the fact of the matter is he was in prison for divulging top secret and classified documents to the press.
Yeah.
So him working with Kara is really dangerous because he's ratting out Lex Luthor. I mean, that could get you killed pretty quick.
Pretty much. But Otis was a big part of this episode, and and was well played in this episode. He's been an annoying character to date for me, but I thought I actually enjoyed the character in this episode. The whole play on the Shining with his Otis, the looking through the crack of the wall. His moment of genius clarity where he went off about something or other that kind of even went over my head. Yeah. The way he was saying it was just like, and the look on Kara's face when he did that, it all played out pretty well. And then he was used as a human bomb, but they still put him back together somehow.
Yeah, it's funny because Otis really at the beginning of the season was kind of it was a name drop. It was like kind of a reference, and they seemed to kill him very quickly. But bringing him back as a Metallo, I thought was kind of a clever way to kind of get him back into the episode. And usually with the introduction of a Luthor or something, Metallo is not too far behind. And the fact that Eve put him back together again, kind of Humpty Dumpty'd him at the end of the episode, is just like, okay, so he's not completely gone. Every time I'm throughout watching this episode, every time I thought they were going to zig, they zagged. And we didn't even really touch on yet, the whole thing with James, which I haven't quite decided how I feel about it, because it's kind of like Heroes in Crisis, the comic book. Here's a chance to really talk about PTSD, and they did a little bit with the therapy, but by the end it was all about, he's developing superpowers because of course he is. And also I liked the scene between his sister and Alex, and kind of the connection they made. So it was a very well-rounded episode. Did you feel cheated that the whole Agent Liberty storming the DEO was a vision that Dreamer had, basically?
Yeah, kind of. I guess the interpretation, because Brainy says to her, you haven't yet mastered interpreting your dreams yet. So I guess it wasn't necessarily a exact representation of what happened, but he did come into the DEO, installing it in his own personality. Where does everybody know that he's Agent Liberty?
I think at this point they probably do, because he was arrested as Agent Liberty.
Yes, right, correct. So I guess her visualizing that and him coming in, it kind of made sense. But yeah, I did feel a little bit ripped off, because in the trailer they promoted that as happening, and you and I were going like, how is that going to happen? But once again, it was Sam Witwer played the role really well, and Colonel Haley in this episode was interesting, the way that Alex was able to manipulate her, finding her one weakness being her daughter's reaction to everything, as playing into that so that she could get her on sides in some way. But I actually cringed at the part of Alex and James's sister, just giving it, that whole longing stare at the end of their conversation. It was just like, really, can Alex not meet anybody that she doesn't want to have a relationship with? It's just like, really, I mean, it kind of, just that one little thing kind of bugged me. It was just like, here she is asking her for a professional help about something that's critical, and yet they still want to kind of ship these two just because they can.
Well, yeah. I mean, on one hand, I kind of agree with you, because it was kind of a little ham-fisted at the end of the scene.
It's like Days of Our Lives type of, that staying that just a little bit too long on the characters' looks.
Yeah, it's still better than anything they did in season 2. I loved her and Maggie together, but wow, did that swamp so much of that season. I think this was a, I won't say it's like, wasn't a game-changing episode, but it managed to be extremely entertaining and keep all the, the balls in the air, so to speak.
Yeah.
Supergirl is still wanted. Kara has a new lead on it. We had the whole thing with Otis, and it's kind of interesting that it seems like next week we're doing that towards the end of the season episode, kind of focusing away from the main plot.
Yeah.
And doing kind of a character study, which I'm looking forward to, because it involves Dreamer, and it's going to be kind of cool to see her take the focus. But when I saw the ad, I was like, okay, so this is that episode.
Yeah.
Kind of not a distraction episode, but kind of a one more character bit before we really wrap this thing up.
Well, it is the next episode, and it is called American Dreamer, which is episode 19 of season 4, and here is the promo trailer for that. So let's watch that, and then we'll comment afterwards.
I think that maybe it's time for you to rejoin the Super Friends.
Stop! Help!
With Supergirl lying low, someone has to protect innocent people.
Howdy, boys.
Who are you?
I'm your worst nightmare.
Sweet dreams.
Supergirl, all new episodes, Sunday at 8, 7 Central on the CW.
So there you have it. That is the episode called American Dreamer, which will air on Sunday, April 28th. So this coming Sunday on the CW, Monday nights here in Australia. And it's good to see, obviously someone has to step up. James is no longer Guardian at the moment, and Neo is coming into her powers as a dreamer, and taking on the whole superhero thing. So with Supergirl having to stay out of the limelight, and Kara stepping up, then Nea's doing her job in the superhero front.
Absolutely. John in the chat asks why Ben Lockwood wants information on Supergirl to give to the president when we know it wasn't her from the start. Well, they don't know that.
That's right.
They honestly think it was Supergirl. They don't know that it's the clone.
Yeah, only only Lex and the Russian people know about this Red Daughter. So everybody else is unaware that there is a clone or that there is a Supergirl knockoff. So everyone's just confused, and so Supergirl and Alex and Lena are all confused what's happening. everybody else thinks that it's Supergirl.
Yeah, that guy that runs into Kara's elbow in that preview, he's kind of lucky that it didn't take his head off, because, it's kind of like running straight into a brick wall, really.
Yep. Concussion. So, that is the upcoming episode of Supergirl. And beyond that, episode 20, we know it's titled, Will the Real Miss Tessmacher Please Stand Up? And the description for that episode reads thusly. It says, Miss Tessmacher returns with a vengeance. Kara and Lena head to Kaznia to hunt down Lex. However, Eve Tessmacher sets a trap for the duo that could ultimately reveal that Kara is Supergirl. Meanwhile, Alex gets a long-awaited phone call. James practices using his powers, and Ben Lockwood takes a dangerous stand inside the DEO.
I'm really kind of torn on James developing superpowers. I mean, on one hand, it's right within the comics. I mean, the 50s, you couldn't get an issue of Superman's pal Jimmy Olsen without him like turning into a werewolf or becoming Turtle Boy. So it's not like this isn't one of those cases where it's like, well, this has never happened before. But on the other hand, I mean, at this point, it's Alex and Lena that will not have powers as part of being, like the main characters of the show. So it's kind of weird, but this show has been so weird to James Olsen anyways. I mean, he just is like, okay, I'm going to be a reporter, and then I'm going to be a vigilante, and then I'm not going to be a vigilante, and now I'm getting superpowers. It's just like, I kind of feel bad for the guy.
And I don't think they made it necessarily 100% clear back when Lena created this serum that revived him about whether or not the superpowers element had been taken out, because Lex had them for a bit, or then, I don't know, I'm a little bit confused on that whole part of the thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just got distracted since the video is on delay. I'm finally seeing the picture of Eve with the gun, so that kind of threw me off for some reason.
So, we wait and see what happens with this upcoming episode. And then before the show, we were talking off air about the season finale, which is coming up in a couple of weeks, being titled The Quest for Peace.
Little on the nose. I still appreciate it. The fact that Superman 4 is getting so much love this season does my, I'm like, the sole member of the Superman 4 Appreciation Society. So the good news is it's really easy to find time to hold a meeting, and taking everyone out for dinner afterwards is really cheap because it's just me.
Yeah, fair enough too. But yeah, I mean, it's probably the third and final episode that we will see John Cryer as Lex Luthor. We knew that there will be 3 episodes. We thought they'd be back to back, but I'm guessing they're holding him back for the season finale.
I like that too, because just having him for those 3 episodes, just all in a row, kind of gets it all out of the way. Now there's kind of a hunt for him, so that when we see him again probably in the final episode, I think structurally that works a lot better, and it makes like Lex is a presence in the show even when he's not on the show now. So you can kind of stretch that out for a couple of weeks until you bring him back.
It does make me think about the filming schedule and production schedule for that. Would they have filmed those 3 episodes at the same time, having John Cryer available, and then work around their schedules to film in the other episodes out of order, knowing that the season finale would be the last episode to air?
I could see them doing that. Because, like the Adventures of Superman television series, they would film all of the scenes that took place in a given set in the season all at once. So this is probably less of a nightmare than that would be. So, or Cryer, had those 2, the however long it takes to film an episode, I don't know what that is, and then went back to LA, and then, will be or has already gone back to Vancouver to finish up the season.
Always interests me, that kind of stuff, when I mean, nothing is ever filmed unless it's done in one take or in one long shot, and nothing is ever done in order. So certain scenes are shot at different times because that's what's available and that's what's feasible for locations and things like that. So it always interests me when you think about episodes with actors that would be filmed out of order, but at the same time, just because the actors' availability is there. So it really makes you appreciate the actors and their ability to be able to tell stories not knowing where they are at a particular time.
Didn't they do that with Margot Kidder on Smallville, where they filmed like a bunch of her, like she was in several episodes,
right?
But they filmed those scenes while she was, on the set, basically.
Yeah.
So yeah, that could, they're actors, and the scripts are probably all done. They may make modifications as they go along, but it's not like the actors would probably be kind of lost because since this is episodic television that has an overarching story.
Yeah.
I'm sure they can tell them what has happened in the meantime.
Yeah, exactly. A couple of questions. Venkman wants to know if he can join the Superman 4 Appreciation Society. I guess it's his shout for the next dinner.
Oh man. Yeah, well, we'll go Dutch. It'll be fine. No, hey, if anybody wants to throw support behind Superman 4, I'm completely with that, for that. So yeah, that would be fine, Venkman. I appreciate that.
And John says, how did they show Lex on TV in this episode? I think it was just a headshot. It wasn't anything filmed. It was just a snapshot. So it wasn't like they had to get John Cryer back for that.
Yeah, it's probably really easy to do. You just find a bald guy that kind of looks like John Cryer from behind.
All right, well, we're just about at the halfway point for tonight's episode, so we're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to come back on the flip side and talk about Krypton Season 2. A new trailer has dropped for that, and we're going to be talking about the rumours circulating about Tom Welling appearing in the final season of Arrow. We'll be back right after these messages. Don't go away.
We'll be back in a moment with the exciting climax of today's episode. So stand by.
Look, up in the sky.
It's a bird.
It's a plane. No, it's SupermanHomepage.com, the #1 Superman fan site in the world. SupermanHomepage.com, covering the world of Superman from the 1930s to today. News, reviews, rumors, and reports. SupermanHomepage.com for all your Superman comics, TV shows, movies, cartoons, radio shows, and more. Everything you ever wanted to know about the Man of Steel and more. SupermanHomepage.com.
Thanks, Superman Homepage, for all the support over the years. I really appreciate it.
I'm Matt Bomer. I'm the voice of Superman and Superman Unbound, and this is the Superman Homepage.
Right here on Superman Homepage.
Delicious.
And dangerous. First, never touch any appliance without a parent's supervision, and always be careful with kitchen appliances. Keep their cords out of your way and your fingers out of their way. Also, always turn pot handles in, away from the edge of the stove.
So nobody bumps into them and gets hurt.
Now you're cooking.
And we're back from our break on WGBS TV Live, where it's very important to be safe when you're doing your baking or your cooking.
That's not a joke.
What are you laughing for then?
Okay, it's a little... Because anytime Superman is giving advice on mundane things like cooking, it's just like, look, I appreciate the effort, Cal, but isn't there like a meteor heading towards the Earth that needs taking care of? I mean, I think think Robin could have handled, or even the Wonder Twins could have handled this particular mission. And what are you doing in my house? These are the questions I have.
Very good. All right, well, let's go on to talk about Krypton Season 2. As I mentioned, the trailer for Season 2 dropped this week, and I'll have it for you right now. Let's check it out.
My fellow Kryptonians, 6 months ago, we came together to face the dawn of a new era, to rebuild a Krypton unrecognizable in its perfection.
Whatever game you're playing, you will lose.
Zod's taking control of the planet. He's trying to conquer the galaxy. Val's leading a rebellion.
That bastard has stolen our better tomorrow.
We're stealing it back!
And I believe that you're the only one that can make that right.
You didn't really think it would be that easy, did you?
If we have to, we will finish your rebellion with force.
Zod! It's time for this madness to end!
You think you are the Man of Steel. Name's Lobo. Please stop. You're making me blush.
So there you have it. The trailer for Season 2 of Krypton looks pretty good. I'm really impressed with everything that they're showing us. We've got Doomsday, we've got Brainiac, we've got Lobo, we've got General Zod. I mean, really, what more can a Superman fan ask for? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, yep. The sparkly one.
And supposedly, and they have just basically gone full Legends of Tomorrow on this show and just go, no, we're just, screw it, Doomsday and Lobo and Brainiac, go.
Sorry, Mike, you were just muted there for a little bit for everyone, so I fixed that up now. But yeah, it does look insane though. The effects are so good. Brainiac looks awesome. There's just so much that is spot on about this show as far as those designs and those characters. The design and the looker and the actors playing them. Lobo just makes me happy because it just reminds me of Superman the Animated Series. That version of Lobo. And there's obviously a lot that we need to unpack with Season 2 here, which is, with Segel, where is he and how is he going to get out of the Phantom Zone or whatever if that's exactly where he is. How the history is going to change. How the future is going to evolve, or it's like got some time travel elements to it. Season 1 blew me away. I'm really looking forward to Season 2. And we do know now that it will premiere on Sci-Fi on June 12. So 2 months away, even less.
And I think this show is kind of also following the Gotham model, where, you know, Gotham kind of started out in the first few episodes that I actually bothered to watch. Kind of felt like a Smallville type show where we're showing Gotham City way before Batman. And then at some point, the showrunners are like, you know what? Let's just throw everything at the wall and see if it's going to stick. And a lot of my friends that watch that show just keep telling me that at some point I need to binge the series because it just gets crazier and crazier. And I think, to me, one of the most powerful images of that trailer was seeing the S symbol on the cape replaced with Zod's symbol. I was just like, wow, okay, now you're really playing with this, because, you know, you have the room to do that with this show, because it's not this is going to sound terrible because it's not really how I mean. It's not an official, like, this isn't like, okay, this is our version of Krypton, you know, in the movies. This is the cinematic universe that you're going to be living with for the next, like, 10 to 15 years. It's like, no, it's a show on Sci-Fi, so anything goes.
Yeah, exactly. And anything can and will happen because of the fact that they're messing with time, they're messing with different realities. They can reset things at the end if they want. They can do whatever they want with this show and bring in all these different elements that will, you know, won't really necessarily have a massive impact on the Superman story if they can get things back on track and Krypton can explode and Jor-El can send off the baby Kal-El as, you know, as a story we know. But anything between that point backwards can and will happen in this show, and that's the beauty about it, is that we know where the story goes. Unlike Smallville, this is, you know, anything can happen here because it's not really set in stone. So the history of Krypton really hasn't been played with that much for it to be, oh, I know where this is going. Yes, we know what the end point of Krypton is. It explodes. It's like telling a story about the Titanic. Yes, we know it's going to sink, but what happens during that journey? Spoiler alert.
No, you laugh, but there were moments in the theater. I had many friends when Titanic came out that were surrounded by people that were actually surprised that the boat sank at the end. So, you know, I don't trust anybody at this point, really.
So that's June 12th for the premiere of Season 2 of Krypton on Sci-Fi. Now, I mentioned Smallville there, and it's kind of a segue into our next topic. Over the last week and a bit, there's been a lot of reports, a lot of websites reporting on Tom Welling's comment at Armageddon Expo in New Zealand, where he supposedly said that he will appear in the 8th and final season of Arrow. Now, someone posted on Twitter, there's been no video of the panel that he supposedly said this in, and someone who sat in the audience posted on Twitter, and every news site that I've seen, every comic book or pop culture website that I know of, all reported on it like it was fact. And I went, nah, not happening. I'm going to check it out. I went and contacted the people at Armageddon Expo, and a representative from Armageddon Expo said to me he said it as a joke. He was joking when he said it. So, yes, he did say it, but he will not be appearing in Season 8 of Arrow. As I said, Tom Welling said it as in jest. So, really, kind of take it with a grain of salt.
Yeah, this thing, like when people were trying to break it on social media, it's like the president was shot. I mean, it's just like we're trying to get as many details as we can, and I'm like, we are really starved for information, aren't we? And I think this goes back, and it was the main takeaway I had from the whole thing, is that there is still a culture out there that wants nothing more than to hold on to Tom Welling, like with all they can. You know, it's just like, you know, like I literally expect someday and I hope this doesn't happen, and please, I am joking, so don't do this. But someone's going to kidnap him and, like, make him, like take him to a place and make him film, like, the season 11 where he's Superman. And it's just like and we're all going to have to rescue Tom Welling, basically. It's just like, this guy, one, it's great that he's having so much fun, because he does seem to really enjoy going to these conventions. I mean, you really, when you think about it, you're going to a place where probably 99% of the people are there because they like you.
Yeah.
So there's probably something kind of gratifying about that. But let's not, I also appreciate that he's kind of punking the audience, but it's just like, guys, it's just an actor. Come on, seriously. I mean, we're lucky that he's doing all of this in the first place.
Yeah, well, for the longest time, Tom wasn't doing any type of media or conventions or anything up until recently, where Michael Rosenbaum, I think, said to him, man, you're missing out on all this fun. You're not doing anything else. Come and be part of the con circuit. And, he's been enjoying it. Yes, he's probably now that so much time has passed since Smallville has ended, that he feels comfortable talking about it a little bit more and maybe embracing it more than he did at the time, where he felt like, no, I'm going to be, just kind of typecast as Superman or Clark Kent, and I want to break away from that and don't want to talk about it anymore. It was 10 years of my life, or more. Let's move past it. But now that so much time has passed since Smallville ended, and he's kind of answered all those questions, now he feels comfortable revisiting that era and and mixing with fans and taking photos and signing autographs. But people just won't let it go. They keep talking about him. They keep bringing him back, wanting him to come back, wanting him to do this, wanting him to do that, be part of the universe this way or the other. And even if he does say somehow, now that he's kind of dropped the joke out there saying that he's going to appear in Arrow in season 8, and the producers go, hey, what a great idea, let's bring him on, a bit of a stunt casting, and don't put him in anything other than maybe a little villain role or a little character here or something, people are still going to want him to be something Superman related. Just like, move on.
Yeah.
He can do something other than Superman related material.
Yeah, I think that if they were going to do anything, it would be really great to kind of make him a cosmic, like, creator type character. Like, somehow his character is where everything comes from. A little metatextual thing there. And it's just, just give him something fun to do. I have long held that, him being Superman is obvious, and I think because of that, kind of boring. It's never going to live up to what you're doing. So cast him as Ultraman, as like the evil Clark Kent, and have that play out. I think, because that gives him, because one, he doesn't have to wear a costume, and two, it gives him something kind of fun to do. I always liked when because they did that, about two times? Showed that reality where Lionel found the rocket. And, it's just, you're basically, you get to have all the powers of Superman and none of the social responsibility.
So, it was reported, he did say it, but he said it in jest, it was a joke. He won't be appearing in season 8. Let's move on. Now, looking at other TV stuff, Young Justice Outsiders is on the DC Universe streaming service. More episodes are coming up, I believe, in June as well. So there's stuff to look forward to. But our reporter, Michael Marino, interviewed co-producer and animator director Brandon Vietti about Young Justice Outsiders. Spoke about how season 3 came about. Asked him all about his previous work on Superman with things like Legion of Superheroes, Young Justice, and other versions of Superman that he's worked on, and the Lego Superman, all that kind of stuff. It's a really great interview. He's done a great job with this interview, and Brandon Vietti went above and beyond with his answers, really expanding on a lot of the stuff. Usually get maybe 1 or 2 sentences from these people with their interviews, but this interview goes into a lot of depth, and he spends a lot of time in response to the questions, and I couldn't be happier with Michael's first piece of writing and First bit of reporting for the Superman homepage. Been a long-time fan and commentator on the website. His first piece for the website has gone down with flying colours.
Yeah, anybody behind the Young Justice cartoon is obviously a fan of the DC universe in particular. I finished the first season this past week, just watching it on my lunch break or, on my days off, and I about fell out of my chair in the episode where it was revealed, spoilers, Lex Luthor is part of Superboy's parentage when he contacts him via the hypersonic, and he's just like, only one thing alive on less than 4 legs, that now that Superman is off planet can hear this, Superboy, and that's you. And I'm like, oh yeah, someone's a fan. that's not a deep cut, but that's a pretty good cut. So it's always great when you can get those kind of deep answers, because to be fair, any contact we have with these people, we're lucky. Because they're doing a job. This would be like someone coming and asking me in-depth questions about how the office supply retail industry works. It's just like, like at the end of the day, I got things to do. But the fact of the matter is that when you watch these, whether it's the Lego stuff, whether it's Young Justice, whether it's Superman and the Legion of Superheroes, there is a lot of love put into these projects. So it's kind of nice that that the person on the other side, may not be the same type of fan as you, but is a fan.
Indeed. And the thing that impressed me about this interview was that once we've published it on the website earlier today, both Brandon Vietti and co-producer Greg Weisman both retweeted a post about it, and so they've shared it to their fandom, which is, again, going above and beyond. You do an interview, that's fair enough, but when you then go and share it as well with your own followers, that's really impressive.
Yeah, Wiseman is super good to talk to as well, from what I understand, and I mean, and when you think of that guy's trajectory. He did Young Justice, but he also did Gargoyles in the 90s, and he wrote for DC Comics in the 80s. So, again, it's these guys that just do these great shows. He did Spectacular Spider-Man as well, that just have a love of the material, and I think that's why we're getting such quality work.
Yeah, indeed. Now, unfortunately, talking about animated series, one that slipped through the cracks is it was revealed in Newsarama this week that animator, artist, director Vinton Hugh put together with Sean Galloway a pitch to Warner Brothers Animation for a Superman family animated series that would have John Kent front and center with Superman and Lois, Krypto and others, and they came up with this style of animation that would have, I think, been an awesome, fun animated series, but just sadly never got picked up.
Yeah, you want to talk about breaking our hearts. Guys, why did you even tell us about this? This is just... I looked at the art. I was like, okay, they were going to have the new Superman. They were going to have Steel and his niece. I mean, this is one of those things. The funniest reaction I saw was that this is a sign of hashtag bat privilege. That it didn't get through. I mean, people are. I think Warner Brothers was a little short-sighted on this one, because I honestly think that John would have been a character that people would have really responded to on a show. And when you have Superman as kind of the dad and Lois as the mom, and you got this kid, and you got Krypto, the fact that John took off in the Let's face it, Superman's son could have fallen flat, but they managed to make John like a real kid, and now he's a teenager. I know, people are still upset about it, but just the idea of Superman being, a dad. I mean, were they afraid it would make him look too old? I don't understand the reasoning behind this. At least a special would have been fun to watch.
Yeah, just like on an animated movie or something, or just a 1 hour special, whatever. It would have been a lot of fun. You know, bringing into the whole rebirth stuff, bringing in Superboy, aka John. He says, my angle was to combine these new storylines with a lighter tone inspired by all those crazy Silver Age stories I read as a young lad. Seeing, for instance, how John and his mum Lois would deal with his dad being turned into a super merman was something I ideally wanted to see. There are so many dark adult-themed stories. I felt the company needed something that got back to its roots and was just made for kids.
I mean, you know, you watch Teen Titans Go, which, by the way, is now harder to do that I've gotten into Young Justice. It just, I can't reconcile the two.
Yeah.
And you see how goofy that show is. And I'm not saying I wanted this show to be on that level, because I think they really go too far a lot of the times on Teen Titans Go.
Agreed.
But something that's kind of funny, that's kind of lighthearted, but still kind of gets to the emotion of who these characters are. It would have been funny to see Lois and John deal with their, bringing in Lori Lamaris and having Superman turn into a merman. I mean, that was just so... I know it wouldn't have been on Cartoon Network because, let's face it, Cartoon Network does not have a good track record with this sort of thing. And are they trying to make the app just, more adult? Is that the whole point of having these shows with the language that it has and the level of violence? We're about to get Swamp Thing, which is going to be kind of a straight-up horror series. It just seems really weird that you're pushing that kind of stuff, and you have all the classic stuff, so you can watch, for example, the Shazam series on the app, and all that. But no, it just seems weird that you wouldn't do something to appeal to a younger audience.
And there's a perfect niche in there between, as you said, the Teen Titans Go stuff, which is really silly comic stuff, and then the more adult, Young Justice, Outsiders type of cartoons. There's a laneway there that's a mile wide where you would be able to slot in a fun animated show, something maybe along the lines of Crypto the Superdog, where they're little adventure stories that kind of, it's not too serious, but it's not silly humor. It's just kind of great for the kids, and something that even adults that are fans of those characters would be able to enjoy. I just think there's a slot there that's they're missing.
And we would have had a collection of, putting together some stuff from the Superman Family comic as well coming out to kind of promote it. So it's just again, because it has to do with Superman, there's this, I don't want to be one of those fans that is one is crying, oh, woe is me, or thinks that there's this deep state conspiracy against Superman and that. But I do think that a lot of the time Superman and anything associated with the character is dismissed by the higher ups at Warner Brothers. Now this thing got far along. They it seemed like they had at least more than one meeting about it. So it's not like somebody drew a picture and that's all we got. We got a lot of the different
character
pitch
designs.
Art came out.
Yeah, and this guy's connected. He was directing on season 3 of Young Justice, so he's in there. He's part of Warner Brothers Animation. It's not like just some kind of random artist, dropped this. And
But maybe the reaction on social media, because there were meltdowns going on. This is one of those things where it did my heart good to see, but it was also scary at the same time. The level of vitriol that it produced is maybe they'll take a second look at it and say, yeah, this is something we need to do.
Let's hope.
Because, we need something Superman out there. I know we have Supergirl. I'm glad she's going into a 5th season. That show has its fans. I'm one of them. But it would be kind of nice to see something on a regular basis being Superman. And yeah, Superman in the show would probably be the straight man, for lack of a better term. He's not always going to be the hero we want him to be, but at the same time, I think it's you could have done like the current DC superhero girls thing.
Yes,
You know, that kind of thing where sometimes it's fun and sometimes it's serious, and kind of mixing up the two and having. I mean, think about it this way: we could have got an animated new Superman. Now, I know that character is not everyone's cup of tea, but wow, that would have been cool to see.
It would have. Oh, well, we'll just have to keep our fingers crossed that something happens along the lines of animation somewhere down the track for Superman fans. All right, well, let's look at the comic book world, and as we're getting close to the end of this episode, have a look at what's available this week for Superman comic book fans. And there are a few things that are available this week. And we have, first up, Action Comics 1010 is available this week. Lois and Clark, Agents of Spiral, and then that's the awesome variant cover that again makes up part of our background at the Superman homepage website at the moment. We also have Heroes in Crisis number 8, and that is also available in this variant cover. Then we have Doomsday Clock number 4 final printing, Doomsday Clock number 5 final printing, and Michael's laughing in the background. We have Batman and the Justice League manga volume 2 trade paperback. We also have Injustice volume 5 trade hardcover, and then Injustice volume 4 trade paperback. We also have this week Supergirl Killers of Krypton trade paperback and Superman World Against Superman trade paperback, collecting the stories from those early Grant Morrison Superman in a T-shirt era stories. So they are available this week. Action Comics 1010 being the big one.
I am just so happy that we can say Action Comics number 1010.
1010.
I mean, that is just such an awesome thing to say. It really is.
And for anybody who's looking for a job and wants to stay 12 months overseas, then you look like Superman or Batman or whatever, then this story might be of interest to you. Warner Brothers World Abu Dhabi is looking for actors and lookalikes wanting to perform as members of the Justice League. They're doing casting calls at the moment. Candidates looking to be part of this 12-month contract full-time where you get to live in Abu Dhabi. Can visit backstage.com, and the details are there, and they're on our website for where those applications and performance applications can take place. Will be taking place New York, Orlando, and Los Angeles. So something of interest.
They haven't returned my calls. It's been really disappointing.
Oh well, what can you do, Mike? Well, that pretty much brings us to the end of tonight's episode. So before we do finish up, I want to thank everyone for watching tonight's episode of WGBS TV Live. I see my niece was one of those watching earlier on YouTube. Nice to see some people, some of the younger audience watching. I want to thank everyone who commented in the YouTube channel, and want to thank you, my co-host, Mr. Michael Bailey. Thank you, Mike.
Pleasure as always, Steve.
And a huge thank you to our sponsor and patron, Douglas Meacham. Remember, if you want to sponsor the Superman homepage, then please head to patreon.com/Superman homepage, where you too can be a sponsor for as little as $3. Now, the complete 1-hour video of tonight's show will remain available on our website and our YouTube channel. If you missed part of the show or want to tune in and check out the whole thing in full, you can do that either via YouTube or our website. But we'll be back next week on Tuesday, April 30th at 7:30 p.m. Pacific Time for another edition of WGBS TV Live. We'll be doing our monthly segments of the Big Question and Super Secret Soundbite next week as well. We look forward to talking with you then. Until then, be sure to check out supermanhomepage.com for all your daily news updates on everything surrounding the Man of Steel. I'm Steve Eunice on behalf of myself and Michael Bailey. Thanks for watching WGBS TV Live, brought to you by supermanhomepage.com.